hundreds of millions of dollars in direct economic aid to Israel in return for the multi-billion-dollar, very consistent and fairly successful propaganda apparatus. That's how you f it up. It's the sheer arrogance. That's what it is. Sorry, can you not accept that there are and have been victims in both sides? Brother, do you think that the Nazis were victims in the Holocaust too? Is that what you're doing? Is that the argument that you're going to present to me right now? Because you do realize that the Holocaust is not like a singular event. What do you mean, both sides? What the fuck are you talking about, both sides? There's no both sides in the current genocide, the current Holocaust that Israel is engaging in. What is the both sides of that situation? Don't do this victimhood, brother. Like, what are you talking about? There's no standard with you. You are the worst of humanity. What? Those words and all the other words you type don't tell me anything about genocide. They're pretty irrelevant to the discussion we're having. This video is proof that it's not a genocide. That's why you started rambling. Not trying to justify war here. I'm demonstrating how it's not a genocide. More than 19,000 rockets were launched at Israel since October 7. It's a very small and densely populated country. You don't fund genocide. Your country prevents one. Not apartheid. Palestinians, Christians, and Arabs, Druze, and plenty of non-Jews live in Israel. Oh, brother. I don't think you are capable of reading the room. That's the problem. And not just this room, but every room that you're in at this point. And this is kind of my point. The point I'm making is, brother, even if you want to defend Israel, you should just probably keep it quiet, okay? Because you are genuinely participating in people developing this horrible tying their friends and the people that they know in the Western world of Jewish background to Israel. Because you're doing that. That's true. 10,000, not this room, every room. You don't understand. People, you don't understand it. You do not understand it. This shift happened for you so fast that like it's left you behind. You literally are arguing with points that you could potentially win people over with like 10 years ago. Okay, it's an entirely different environment now. I'm telling you, it's like if I ran around talking about ISIS and how good ISIS is and how it's true Islam, or why can't the Islamic Caliphate do a little bit of conquest? Everyone else has done it. And as a Muslim, we all love ISIS, and that you guys are actually being Islamophobic when you criticize ISIS. Like, if I were to do that, that would be the equivalent of what you're doing right now. And of course, people's takeaway from that would be, oh my God, Muslims are crazy. Do you not understand that? Now, the difference is no Muslim does that, and yet the State Department-backed propaganda apparatus consistently tried to make it seem as though Muslims love ISIS, even though Muslims are the primary victims of ISIS. Most people would not dignify you with this response and try to talk to you like a human being at this point. As a Jew that traveled abroad, I can tell you this negative sentiment towards Israel and Judaism conflated is not new since 1023. Yeah, I wonder why. Do you think Israel tied its actions and its conquest and its violence to Judaism after October 7? Do you think that this is a new phenomena? No, this is my point. My point is, Israel's been doing it to actual genuine success, especially in the United States of America, for a very long time. The Holocaust was a state-planned industrial genocide aimed at exterminating an entire people everywhere. The Nakba refers to a mass displacement during a regional war with multiple population movements happening as a result of that conflict. I said the new Holocaust, the current Holocaust, the one that was now paused for a little bit, even though it's not necessarily really all that paused with a fake ceasefire. The Nakba is a planned out, systematized ethnic cleansing campaign. Okay? That's what the Nakba was. It's because they already hated Jews, Hassan. People hated Jews worldwide before Israel, Hassan. Oh my Lord. You're literally... Oh. You need to understand something, okay? No one is denying that anti-Semitism was not a major vehicle throughout history. I talk about the pogroms. I talk about the Holocaust with regular frequency. This has nothing to do with the Nakba, okay? Unless you think that the Arabs Muslims and Christians alike that lived in that area were simply frustrated because Jews were there now, and not because they correctly recognized that the British occupants that lied to the Arabs initially were actually, after the Balfour Declaration, creating a settler colony. And they were right, by the way. The Arabs were correct. They were creating a settler colony. That's precisely what happened. It wasn't Jew hatred at all. It was self-preservation. It was people fighting to make sure that they weren't slaughtered. It was people fighting to create a nation state for themselves. And prior to the British intervention, prior to British control in historic Palestine, British mandate Palestine, there were Jewish people living there, and they did not have these sorts of issues. There was no like consistent Jew hatred that was taking place under the Ottoman Empire, and I'm sure you know this already. Or maybe you don't. But the Ottoman Empire was considered a safe haven for Jews that were escaping numerous other pogroms throughout time, whether it be the Spanish Inquisition and numerous others. I need you to understand, okay? And I don't know if you ever will. Lied to Arabs and the Jews, lied to both, bro. First of all, there were Arab Jews as well, as you like to bring up when you're talking about your friends in Montreal. Okay, so it's not even like different. You don't even live in Israel and you're using like Israel demography. It's so funny. This is what I mean. It's like pure brain rot. In any case, I don't think you're ever gonna, I think you might be a little too deep. You might be a little too invested. And I doubt you're gonna comprehend what's going on. But once again, yeah, the dhimmis in the Ottoman Empire, Jews pay taxes for being Jewish. In comparison to the Inquisition, just don't refer to me. Listen to Jewish historians, okay? Listen to Jewish historians. The Ottoman Empire, in comparison to the Western pogroms, the pogroms that were happening in the Western world, were far more tolerant to coexistence. Jews and Christians paid a tax. This is not even a defense of the Ottoman Empire either. Like, I don't even give a shit about defending the Ottoman Empire. I'm just talking about history. Every non-Muslim paid a non-Muslim tax, and Muslims had a separate tax. But you do understand this, right? You do understand this, right? Like when you consistently try to like defend Israel and talk about, you know, an ongoing genocide in this way, when like even people who don't give a about Muslims, right? Like Arabs, Muslims at all are recognizing this to be like a truly horrifying situation. Like you are saying, this is my, this is me. I am a Jewish person living in Canada or living in America. I don't know where you live, right? And I love Israel, and I'm going to defend Israel, and I'm actually going to use anti-Semitism as a reason for why Israel must exist in the violent ways that it does. This teaches people the wrong lesson. It teaches people the opposite lesson that I'm trying to teach them, which is ironically exactly what I was trying to say here, which you did not understand. That is my point. You're contributing to it. Anyone that turns around and says Zionism, well, 90% of Jews are Zionist. Okay, 90% of Jews are Zionists. So if you're anti-Zionist, you're anti-Jew, does not realize that you're teaching people to be anti-Jew in that situation. You're not teaching them that like there is a difference in opinion between many different people. People go, okay, I'm anti-Israel. So if 90% of people are 90% of Jews are pro-Israel, then I guess I'm anti-Jew. That's it. Because a lot of Zionists do not understand that people do not fuck with Israel no more. It just doesn't make any sense, especially to someone like myself, especially someone whose name is Hassan, especially someone who's like, a prominent left-wing critic of America in the Western world, who is of Muslim background. I just don't understand it. It's like running around and saying all Muslims love ISIS. That's what it feels like. And for the record, anti-Semitism would still exist. People would still tie Israel's actions to Judaism regardless. But you're not making it any easier, especially when you argue with someone like myself. Oh my God. Haha, in comparison, bro, Jews paid for being Jewish. Okay, they were tolerant, but Jews were discriminated against. You painted it as it wasn't like that. And then I pointed out and you get exasperated. This has been my issue with you. No, reading comprehension is your major issue. And critical thinking is your major issue. On the one hand, there was ethnic cleansing taking place against Jews. On the other hand, Jews, just like Christians, were forced to pay a tax, okay, a non-Muslim tax. Take it up with people that chose to escape to the Ottoman Empire at the time and not with me, okay? They made that choice, and I think it was the right choice to make. Yes, if he's talking about jizya, it was only for military agents and capable men only, not women, children, and the elderly. Around 1.5. Muslims pay 2.5 zakat. Can't believe we're still doing this Islamophobic talking point of the Big 2026. And the tax exempted them from joining the army. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Here, I mean, this article is a great one. I've talked about this already. What did the Ottoman Empire ever do for us? Quite a lot, in fact, by Diana Darke. Contrary to the prevailing view, the Turkish civilization had an egalitarian, multicultural outlook which protected Jews. It's ridiculous, dude. It's just so funny to try to argue on, you know, the Ottoman tax policies of me in an effort to try and justify the Nakba somehow. Oh, dude, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that, you know, Jews and Christians alike paid a specific tax when they weren't serving in the Ottoman military. So I guess it's okay to do the Nakba. And then 80 years of like slow burn ethnic cleansing and mass displacement and land theft. I should have thought about that. Yes, Jews don't have to pay taxes for being Jewish anymore. Look at your chat trying to justify how Jews paying taxes for being Jewish. Isn't that bad, lol? Dog, it's not that bad in comparison to genocide. That's the point that people are making, which I think you can understand, right? Or perhaps you can't. Take it up with the people who fled and sought refuge in the Ottoman Empire. We don't have to have this discussion right now, especially when you're trying to justify the Nakba for this reason. Oh my God. Do you not understand how stupid this argument is? Are you all right? Never justified the Nakba, only pointed out it went both ways. Jews were expelled as well during their Nakba. Oh my God. Yeah, why the fuck do the Palestinians have to be those who are ethnically cleansed for the European genocide of Jewish people? I know. That's a separate point, too. Anyway, yeah, you never justified the Nakba. You just said both sides suffered. Yeah, you know, poor Nazis suffered during the Holocaust, too. Why do you not think about that? Poor Turks suffered during the Armenian genocide. Why does nobody ever think about that? It was just mass transfer. It wasn't that big of a deal. It was a little bit of ethnic displacement, right? That's what I would sound like if I were you know, doing the same kind of defense. And many people still do it to this day, as a matter of fact. Anyway, this isn't even one of the more consequential parts of this conversation, because like you won't even recognize that Israel's doing genocide to this day. So I don't even know what the fuck we're talking about at that point. Anyway, hopefully this was somewhat educational. Maybe one day. But this is not the right argument to make. And if you were in here, as a matter of fact, when I was talking about this initially with the Somali conversation, assuming that all Somalis are actually doing mass fraud is akin to assuming all Jews are doing international sex trafficking for Mossad and pedophilia, like because Jeffrey Epstein. That's a better argument, which is one that I presented when talking about the Islamophobia and comparing it to anti-Semitism. You are extensively trivializing the Holocaust to prove your point. Israel is a terrorist state. Okay, a terrorist state that's doing what? Doing genocide. Zionism is a fascist ideology. If you don't recognize these things, we can't have a normal conversation. I can explain it to you again, over and over again, but stop. Monkey D. Houthi, shut the fuck up. In case of Morocco, Israel paid Morocco to transfer Moroccan Jews. They didn't have enough population. Yes, in numerous other Arab countries in the MENA region, there are different reasons as to why. There are different ways in which this kind of population transfer took place. And it's not without like pogroms initially as well. There were some. But to compare separate countries, many of which were already under the protectorate, or not protectorate, as a matter of fact, whether to compare this to all these other countries in the MENA region, many of which were actually under the power and influence of a colonial superpower that was dominating them, is fucking insane. Whereas the precursor militant groups to the IDF to before the Israeli state was established, the Zionist brigades, they actually carried out a planned ethnic cleansing campaign. It wasn't like Jews that did this planned ethnic cleansing campaign. These were militancies that specifically under the ideology of Zionism conducted a planned ethnic displacement and ethnic cleansing campaign. And they were successful. 750,000 Palestinians were removed from their homelands, never allowed to return. There's a difference between that and like the Israeli state that was established after the fact. One, really pushing and pulling in terms of like a lot of the instability that was taking place in the pan-Arabic nationalist movements that were fomenting in the region, in the MENA region, / going to, in certain instances, places like Vichy, France, to demand that their colonial occupants dispose of all the Jews and send them to Israel. This asymmetry has always played itself out because Israel is seen as a profoundly important Western apparatus. And that's why they've been armed to the fucking teeth. Initially from even the USSR, as a matter of fact, by way of Czechoslovakia. That was a major L from Stalin. In any case, did he say Hamas attempted genocide on October 7th? That's so funny. Yeah, so you're right. The Jewish partisans attempted genocide during the Holocaust. The Warsaw Ghetto Uprising was attempted genocide against the Germans and the Polish. It's just like anyone that was taking up arms alongside Nazi Germany was in fear of being genocided. Do you think Israel being horrible about tying itself to Judaism will make some people retcon their beliefs on everything surrounding World War II, and that conversation being popularized could swing people to be more sympathetic to actual Nazis and thus then be used to genocide, or just then be used to justify growing fascism today? Absolutely. That is exactly what's happening right now in broad daylight, in real time. It's exactly what I'm trying to avoid. It's exactly what I'm trying to fight back against. And yet you still have people like Harley coming in here and trying to claim that I'm anti-Semitic, not realizing that right now, anti-Semitism is unironically seen as a marker of earnesty, and you are so far removed from the attitudes and how much they've shifted that you think that this is a successful strategy, okay? People think you're a real one when you actually are anti-Semitic. It's insane. It didn't happen overnight. Israel played a major role in it, though. There was already a lot of anti-Semitism flinging around, and yet, even to this day, for the record, like, anti-Semitism is a real bigotry, it's real hatred, but it doesn't have the same impact, the systematic discrimination that it once did in the United States of America, but it doesn't have the contemporary systematic discrimination that, like, anti-blackness and Islamophobia has. That's just true. Like, there was a time and place when, people wouldn't hire Jewish people. There was a time and place in the United States of America when Jews had a hard time getting into schools and whatnot, things of that nature, right? But in modern American society, anti-Semitism is not systematic, right? In the same way that, like, anti-blackness is. Having said that, however, that could change in the future. And that was certainly the case in the past. What is this? This gets 18K likes on Twitter on the regular. I don't see them under these tweets. I know. That's the other thing. You got Nazis who are popping off, and you're coming to attack the one guy who is anti-Nazi. You're a idiot. Actually, like, you are genuinely stupid if you sincerely think you're fighting anti-Semitism, which I don't think you are. I think you just want to, like, defend Israel somehow, and no one gives a fuck about what you have to say elsewhere. And this is the one community where people are not going to immediately, like, shut up Jew or something. So that's why you're in here trying to chirp, because you know this is not an anti-Semitic community. It's an anti-Israel community. But if you want to actually tackle anti-Semitism, why don't you go after real anti-Semites? The fuck are you doing in here? Is so stupid. It's the same thing that Ethan Klein has been doing over the past 2 years, like not realizing that the environment has shifted so dramatically that consistently chirping about anti-Semitism, especially against people who are objectively not anti-Semitic, who have spent a good deal of their professional media career fighting against anti-Semitism, consistently claiming that they're anti-Semitic when actual anti-Semites are going around town gaining tremendous prominence shows me that you're not a sincere person at all. You're a fucking idiot. You're wasting your time. Anyway, let's get back to Benjamin Netanyahu speaking at the synagogue to loud cheers.
Netanyahu, as you may know, has been prime minister several times for several years, but this is his first time to visit South Florida, and he comes here to the synagogue behind me. His message was very simple and to the point. Fight. Israel will not stop fighting.
You try saying you have a much larger platform than the real anti-Semites? Really? I have a bigger platform than Candace Owens, who was running around with a copy of the Talmudic Jew to 160,000 live concurrent viewers, talking about how Jews are contract people. Jews are contract lords. You don't share 95% of my views, brother. You don't, okay? You don't. Clearly. Okay? Because the 5% is a justification for an ongoing wholesale slaughter. It's ridiculous. I hold you to a higher standard, Hassan. No need to be so angry and insulting. You are molding the brains of the youth. You are painting Israel as Nazi Germany is insane. No, it's not. It's not. It's 100% correct. This is the problem. Not only is it correct, but it hurts your feelings to even consider it. Open up your mind and realize that that is precisely what is going on. Israel is the modern version of Nazi Germany. It is exactly the same. What the are you talking about? Zionism revolves around ethno-religious supremacy and complete colonial domination, settler colonial domination over the indigenous population of non-Jews. It's ridiculous. Blames Jews for everything, even Jew hate law. Bye, guys. Thanks for speaking to me as a human being, which is apparently something I should be grateful, according to Hassan. Any other place you have this conversation, any other political space you have this conversation that is anti-Israel is immediately going to dial in on every anti-Semitic meme that you will ever hear. Okay? That's just the truth. The reason why you know that's not going to happen here is because deep down inside you also know that I am not an anti-Semite and I actually viciously combat against anti-Semitism. Ironically enough, our argument here stems from me saying Jews consistently saying they love Israel and defend Israel's genocide is actually fomenting anti-Semitism and making the United States of America and every other Western country a less safe space for Jewish people overall, because everyone who is not as socially invested in the continuation of Israel as an ethno-state is going to look at this and go, okay, well, I guess Jews do care about Israel. All they care about is Israel. All they talk about is Israel, and become anti-Semitic as a consequence of that. Jesus Christ. No, it's not that complex. It's not that complex. Like, Jewish people are not like cut from a special cloth where they're incapable of being fascist, okay? Or fascism is not only Nazism. It's so stupid. In any case, if you want to combat anti-Semitism, go talk to your friends like Sam Hyde, who you've defended as of late, which is insane. Jesus Christ.
A historic day in South Florida.
Yeah, like Albert Einstein compared Zionism to Nazism in 1947. Not even 1948. 1947. The Zionist brigades are behaving in the same way that the Nazis did. And I feel like that guy knew a lot about what the Nazis were doing. You know what I mean? It's ironic because so much of my research or everything that I've learned about this predicament, so much of that has come from Jewish and sometimes even Israeli academics. If it wasn't for Jewish Israeli academia, the new historians, we wouldn't even know that, like, we wouldn't even have evidence, rather, because we knew that the Nakba was an ethnic cleansing campaign, obviously, because their victims were alive. Some of them are still alive, right? But we wouldn't have evidence that it was a planned extermination campaign. It's ridiculous. I can't believe we're having, like, the same argument still after 2 years.
For the first time since he has been Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu makes a visit to South Florida.
I don't know of anyone who doesn't go to Florida these days.
Research meaning Twitter? No, you don't. And your chat proves that you don't. This is the environment you've built. You know, research meaning Twitter. Dog, I literally have a dual degree in political science and communication. This is something that I have actually... why am I entertaining this? It's just pure projection because your favorite content creator who you think is actually an intellectual or some is only getting their information from, I suspect, Twitter, or consistently claiming that I'm getting my from Twitter.
Most of them stay. It's a pleasure to be among proud Jews and proud non-Jewish friends of the Jewish people in the state of Israel who understand that unity, strength, and resolve are the guardians and guarantors of our future.
In the morning, heightened security around the synagogue. Crowds gather. Local 10 gets inside the synagogue as people wait for the prime minister. And then Netanyahu arrives. People capturing the moment so close to this world leader.
Nick is a Holocaust survivor. He escaped the death camps. And I shook his hand, and I said to him, and I said to you, I say to the entire world, never again.
Never again for anybody, okay? Not the Kahanas interpretation of never again, which is never again just for Jews. But that is the modern state of affairs, unfortunately.
Never again. President Trump asked me, how do those people, how do they stand it? How do they do it? And I said, well, see, I couldn't quote directly a great singer in Israel.
So you're saying all lives matter, Lamau? I mean, that's quite literally the point of never again, yes. Yes, it is. It literally is. That you're not wrong. Yes, all genocides matter. It is genocide. I mean, that's the one time when you can say, you know, yeah, all lives actually, when it comes to human rights.
You know that. It's the spirit. It's the spirit of our forefathers.
And Netanyahu leaves the audience with a message about the rising tide of anti-Semitism worldwide.
The last thing you should do is lower your head and sing covered. That's not what you should do. You should stand up and be counted. You should fight back. You should speak up. You should attack your attackers. You should delegitimize the delegitimizers. That's what you need to do.
I cannot believe this gets to do whatever the he wants, dude. Hassan saying all lives matter with his entire chest. Yes. It's so BLM was such a bad choice as slogan, man. No, it wasn't. What the are we relitigating here? No.
You know, it's interesting. When I say fight back, is to fight back to combat anti-Semitism. That last remark there,
yeah, no, totally. Thank you. That's what he wants.
Was speaking about a teenager who was in the audience, and this teenager asked the prime minister, how do I deal with anti-Semitism on college campuses? And Netanyahu says, do not lower your head. The prime minister also spoke about his recent visit with President Trump in Mar-a-Lago, calling him a great friend to the state of Israel. We'll have more for you tonight at 6 o'clock. For now, I am live in Surfside. Rosh Shloh, Local 10 News.
Right now at noon, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is making a South Florida stop today.
Visiting a synagogue in Surfside. Local 10's Rosh Shloh, the only South Florida reporter inside for the service, and he is live with us. Rosh.
You know, we have an incredible opportunity to be the only South Florida television station allowed inside the Shul of Bal Harbor. I'm joined by Representative Carlos Jimenez, and let's get to some video. Representative, tell me about the historic nature of this event. This is the first time Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has been to South Florida since he's been Prime Minister.
Yes, or particularly Miami. I think he's been maybe to Mar-a-Lago before, but I don't think he's been down here, and so it is very historic. I was actually, when I said, oh, I'm sure.
Like, it's, what a shame, dude. What a deep shame. Seriously. Deep shame. And any moment, if you are, and I'm preaching to the choir here to all the anti-Zionist Jews, so it's not about you, but like for Harley, for example, every moment that you spend attacking people who criticize this, as opposed to attacking Benjamin Netanyahu for being a war criminal that is basically using a synagogue, a place of worship, like a to do propaganda, and the people who invited him and cheered him on. is a moment that you're refusing to comprehend exactly what's going on here. Like I thought at least liberal Zionists kept saying, "Oh, Benjamin Netanyahu is bad. Benjamin Netanyahu is the singular responsible factor here." Well, it turns out you don't really hate Benjamin Netanyahu that much if you hate him, but then you're like, but he still should be able to go to Florida. He should go to a synagogue. Everyone should cheer him on. Everyone should talk about how big of a fucking brave hero he is. Well, I guess you don't hate Benjamin Netanyahu at all. I guess that was just a talking point, and you're kind of butthurt that we're not eating that talking point. What's the bigger problem here? Me saying that the conflation between Judaism and Zionism is incredibly dangerous and makes it less safe for Jews in the Western world and Jews all around the world, as a matter of fact, and that when people are in the affirmative inviting Benjamin Netanyahu to a synagogue and cheering him on, when the entire world recognizes him as the war criminal that he actually is, an evil person in general, what do you think is happening there? Shouldn't you be mad at the synagogue? Shouldn't you be mad at the attendees? Shouldn't you be mad at people who thought this would look good? This would be an appropriate idea at a time when anti-Semitism is exploding? No, you don't want to get mad at that because you want to defend that. That's why you come in here and you yell at me, a person who's calling it out. It's ridiculous. It's not only ridiculous, but it's utterly devoid of self-preservation. It's just like you're ridiculous, you're silly, you're not even recognizing how this looks. You're basically advancing the same argument that these people are learning, the wrong lessons that these people are learning, that you do care about Israel more than you care about the genocide that Israel is conducting. You care about defending Israel more than you care about anything else. It's very short-sighted.
Sure, he comes here often. No, absolutely not. I think the last time he was here was over about 25 years ago. That was for a private wedding. And so, yeah, this is a historic event, and certainly my honor to have been invited to it, and certainly my honor to be attending it.
I want to talk about your relationship with Israel, and I've covered you for a long time as the mayor of Miami-Dade County now, and the House of Representatives going on, 6 years almost?
I'll be on my 6th year starting on the 3rd of January. Yeah.
Tell me about your support for Israel.
No, I'm 100% behind Israel, and I have been for a long, long time. As mayor of Miami-Dade County, really, here's a little tidbit for you. I wanted a couple of routes for Miami International Airport. One was to Japan, one was to Tel Aviv. I got Tel Aviv, I didn't get Japan. And so we've always had this close relationship. I've been 100% pro there.
What is this? Like, this is what Israel defenders are saying now? Limit the First Amendment to defend it? Oh my God, no shot.
Time to limit the First Amendment in order to protect it, and quickly before it's too late.
What do you mean?
I mean that we need to control the platforms, all the social platforms.
And who the f*** do you think you are, Shlomo? Providing your 2 cents on our Constitution. I don't know about
Are you kidding me, dude? I need to see the OG video. I need to see the OG video. I need to see the OG video. Also, she's not slurring. His name is Shlomo.